And welcome everybody to the Huddle. It's KGUN9's weekly streaming sports talk show. I'm Jason Barr. We join you every week at this time. Normally also with Pat. He's on vacation. So welcome to Breanna Isbell, who is filling in today. Breanna, thank you so much for joining us here. And we've got a very special guest along with Breanna. We've got ESPN Sportscenter anchor Ashley Brewer, main anchor based out of Los Angeles. And people might remember her as the weekend sports anchor here. So for ESPN fans who are watching and wondering what Ashley's doing on this, well, she perfected her skills here. And same for the KGUN people who probably know she's on to ESPN, a big thing. So Ashley, thank you so much for joining us here. Meet Breanna. Breanna has followed your career and wants to follow in your footsteps. So Breanna, the floor is yours. Ask away.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because coming here, everyone from ASU was like, oh my God, Breanna, this is where Ashley Brewer started. This is your dream. And from there, I was like, oh God, I'm going to KGUN,
Oh.
And it's funny because when Jason brought this up, I showed him a DM I had sent you a couple years ago being like, I just adore you. Everything you do is awesome. So, I mean, no one better to ask than you. With your first full-time job being at KGUN, what kind of advice do you have for me?
Oh my goodness. I have so much. I always say I learned everything in those first 2 years at KGUN. I mean, I didn't go to broadcast school, so I really didn't know what I was doing. And thank goodness for someone like Jason. I give so much credit and I'm just so grateful for him and that he was the first sports director I had because he sat down and coached me and taught me the rules of TV and how things worked and really gave me that broadcast school experience that I never really had. So I think the greatest thing that local TV teaches you is that you should embrace who you are and just always show your personality, always show what makes you unique and different. And I always tried to do that. I always just tried to be my fun, happy, kind of goofy self that loves sports more than anything. And, I'm just so grateful for the opportunity KGUN gave me. I mean, I always say without KGUN, I would have never gotten to ABC in LA. And without that, I would have never been seen by ESPN. So every step has just been incredible.
Ashley, that's very nice of you to say. Now, when you left here and you went to KABC, by the way, you did a great job, and maybe we'll ask you about that the night of Kobe Bryant's passing. You did such a good job on that. And, ESPN recognizes you and they bring you in to do, I think it was short form video with Quibi. I think they said, well, Quibi's not working out, but we're going to keep Ashley Brewer here. But you weren't in LA right away. You went to Connecticut and then you went to LA. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how you ended up late night on Los Angeles Sports Centers.
I still don't know how it happened, and I still pinch myself every single day. Like, even when you guys introduce me and you say ESPN anchor Ashley Brewer, it still doesn't really click that that's me, because Jason and I used to sit and every day at 3 p.m. we would watch Lindsay Czarniak hosting SportsCenter.
That's right.
The office. And that was always the dream. And, I always thought maybe I could do that someday, but way down the road. But it's been pretty incredible, just the timing, how everything worked out. And I've had, a lot of great people give me opportunities and teach me. And I've been so lucky. But, I was really hesitant to move to Bristol in the first place because I loved my job out in LA before. But I felt like, you get one chance to go to ESPN, you're crazy if you turn it down. So although I dealt with winters for the first time of my life and I don't know how to drive in snow, there was so many things I had to learn for the first time. I did it. And, like you said, Quibi was really not working out for ESPN. And they put me on a few different things. And the thing that ended up sticking and being the best fit for me was SportsCenter. So I filled in one day because an anchor had an eye infection. And so they called me the day before and said, can you do SportsCenter? I've never done SportsCenter. I've never been on live TV for 2 straight hours. And I just said, okay, let's do it. And it went so well that they called me back the next day and then the next day. And it just became, my full-time job. And so I think with the NHL coming to ESPN, it kind of reshuffled talent and some of their responsibilities. And that opened the door for a SportsCenter chair to open up for me. And that's how I got to move to LA. So it's been awesome.
Hearing you say that you didn't go to school for this is, first of all, insane in itself, and especially to see where you are so quickly. How did you go about seeking influence and guidance and mentorship from not having that 4 years of education behind it?
Yeah, I always tell everybody that you cannot come into this business and be shy or be quiet about asking for help. I tell people, go be annoying. I know it feels like, oh, I'm such a burden on people and I don't want to annoy this person or that person, but you'll find there are a lot of special people out there that are willing to help you and that want to invest in you and that want to give back because they had somebody that gave back to them. So I was not afraid to ask questions. I would tell Jason all the time, I don't know what this means, or I don't know how to do this. And at times, of course, you don't feel very smart, but there are a lot of people that are willing to kind of reach out a hand. And so I remember when I was working at KGUN, College Game Day came to Tucson. And I reached out to a few friends that I knew Samantha Ponder. And I said, I want to talk to her because I'm from Phoenix and she's from Phoenix and we have a lot in common. We met one time before. And next thing you know, she invited me over, for dinner, and I got to see her afterwards, and I got to spend a lot of time with her after, and she became my mentor and gave me a ton of advice that I've used now, especially at the network level, things that you don't really know unless you kind of get there. So I have always just tried to put myself out there and, worry about like the embarrassment later.
Yeah, that's great advice. Okay, so going back to KGUN a little bit, I was just curious if there was a memorable story that you did hear that kind of stands out, and I'm going to throw two at you.
Okay.
The day that Adia Barnes news conference, when she came back here, who would have thought that she would have taken Arizona, which was the worst basketball program in the world, right, to the NCAA championship game, and you did such a nice job interviewing Pedro Gomez at the College World Series. So for people who don't know, Pedro Gomez was an ESPN-based baseball reporter. His son was a pitcher on the Arizona team. You were in Omaha for the College World Series. Unfortunately, we lost Pedro Gomez a little later. But was there any story that stands out for you that you remember from KGUN?
It's funny because this morning I was going back down memory lane and just thinking about all the cool things I got to do in that first job. The things that really stand out to me were going to the College World Series. I'll never forget that experience going to Omaha. I had been already before when I was swimming in the Olympic trials. And so to go, because the pool and the baseball field are right next to each other.
That's right, across the street.
Yeah. So to now go and, I was swimming a couple of years before. Now I'm covering it as a broadcaster. That was such a great experience to be able to, just do great interviews, get to know the players, tell their stories. It was really special. I got to travel a couple of times in the NCAA tournament. I remember I went to Providence, Rhode Island. I'll never forget that because we were
a heck of a trip coming back, right?
Yeah, and I think they lost in the first round, and it was so awful, but it was still just a good experience for me to feel like, that was a big story that I got to be a part of. And then I'll always remember interviewing Patrick Corbin when I went up to the Arizona Diamondbacks game, just because my brother played for them. My brother was roommates with Patrick. And so baseball's my favorite sport. So being up at Chase Field was always really special.
As you probably know very well, in this industry, you have to have thick skin. Mm-hmm. And, it's funny because your TikTok, you almost will clap back at people in such a classy and just very elegant way, but still showing them like, hey, don't talk to me like that.
Totally, yeah.
How have you navigated maintaining such a well-presented social media presence?
I tell people, luckily, and this is like God-given, I was born with 3 brothers. So I was born tough. And I always say it's kind of hard to hurt my feelings because of that. But I do remember when I started in Tucson, my first year, especially in TV, I do remember having my feelings hurt easily because I had never been opened up to criticism in the way of being on television. I remember there would be people that would call the station, and I'd come back into the newsroom after doing a sportscast, and there would be someone on the phone saying they didn't like what I was wearing that day, or I mispronounced Mark Melanson or whoever. I remember there were certain names that I was like, oh shoot, I should know that. And that's what that job is for, especially when you're coming out of college, to go make mistakes and learn and correct them. I think what I've learned is just to never take it personally. And I think the best example is someone said something to me that was really mean on the internet once. And I wrote back and I just said to them, and I said, "You sound miserable. I'm so sorry." And the response was the best thing. He said, "You know what? I am."
Oh,
and I thought, wow, that is exactly what I thought. I'm having a wonderful day. I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. I love life. I don't try to hurt anyone or talk bad about anyone. And so you just have to kind of realize that the people that are bringing negativity, that are saying nasty things, it's because they're probably miserable. And so just be thankful that you're not.
That's good stuff, Ashley. We're joined by Ashley Brewer. I'm Jason Barr, Breanna Isbell here on the Huddle, KGUN 9 streaming, a weekly sports talk show. Ashley, you're an ambassador for BLYT Basics. Is that it? Tell us what that is.
Yeah, it's cool. Since getting on ESPN, you get a lot of marketing opportunities. And so it's called Built, but they're a great clothing brand. They're Southern California based. Started as a men's active wear and golf wear brand, but they expanded their women's line and they wanted me to be the face of it. So that's been really cool because, I've always said I want to be a lot more than just a sportscaster. I love what I do, but I want to do so many things. So getting into fashion, getting into, being a spokesperson for a brand has been a lot of fun.
Terrific.
What would you say is probably the biggest misconception about your job?
Yeah. A lot of people come up to me and they're like, "Are you reading on a teleprompter the whole show?" And I'm like, I don't think I read on a teleprompter at all. I mean, really, the only time I ever read off a teleprompter is if we're doing a very serious news story. And that happens maybe once a show, if even that. Otherwise, the beauty and the challenge of SportsCenter, the reason why I love it is because it's so hard. I don't think I'll ever get used to it. Every day brings some kind of challenge that I'm like, oh, Joy, I got to do it, But it's so, everything is off the cuff. Everything is reacting. My highlights, I've never even seen before. I watch games before I do my show, but my highlights I've never even seen until I'm live on television. So I'm reacting as I'm watching them with the viewer. And, I have what we call shot sheets that are notes of the plays that we have, but I don't really have details. So, that's kind of the fun part of my job is that we're all kind of just watching and hanging out and commenting on games together. And that's what SportsCenter is.
Yeah, you do have very good chemistry with Stan Red and Neil Everett and Linda Cohen and some of the other ones. So that's great to see. Ashley, we have somebody here who wants to say hello to you, and he's a little concerned about expired license plates or something. But come on in, Kyler. Yeah, and we get close with my microphone here. We're gonna stand close so we can hear my microphone. Yeah,
it's so great to see you, my friend. How are you?
It is awesome. If I could reach through the screen and give you a hug,
I wish I could. I am so happy to see you, Kyler. You are always just such a wonderful person to have around and to work with. I'm so grateful for you.
Well, the feeling is mutual. And I do hope you're driving with current registration and plates,
We are good.
You remember that?
Here's
your
the thing.
License plate the night you left here.
And it's funny, these are big, adult things that you have to learn how to do in your 20s that when I was 22, I'm like, I don't know how to change my license plate. So I am good. I am fresh on the plates.
Awesome.
Thank you, Kyler.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, we're so proud of you. And I watch you every weekend when I get a chance and just really enjoy watching you. And obviously we're a little bit biased, but objectively, just your delivery is just spot on. And you're just a real pleasure and a great addition to ESPN.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm so grateful. I mean, like I was telling them, every step of the way has just prepared me for this. So I feel so grateful for every person, every challenge, every, stop I've made in my career. So it's so much fun. I really just have so much fun every day. And so I'm grateful to have a job like that.
That's what it's all about. You got to have fun.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see you.
Yes. Thank you. You as well.
Thank you. I'll let you guys get back to it.
Okay, Ashley, we got to ask you about the Pac-12, right? We can't let you go without asking you that. Nobody would have a better insight than you do. You were a swimmer for USC.
Yeah.
Here they're leaving for the Big Ten. What was your initial thought when that happened? And what do you think? How do you think this is going to play out?
I was stunned when the news came out because there really weren't a whole lot of whispers or rumors going around leading to it. So obviously there was conversation about the SEC and other schools wanting to join the SEC, but never in a million years did I think the Pac-12 was really in danger of being broken up. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest. I wish the Pac-12 could have figured out the issues that they have. There are a lot of issues. I wish those could have been solved. And I do, especially as a swimmer, feel for the athletes of the smaller sports that are going to have to fly in the middle of a school week across the country to go compete at Rutgers, Wisconsin, these schools that, it takes a day to fly there and a day to fly home. And to balance schoolwork, I know how challenging that was, especially while competing in the Pac-12. It's now going to be so much more challenging. And, I talked with Mike Bone, the athletic director of USC, last week about it. And he was like, this is going to be so great for us. So many more people are going to watch on TV. The attendance is going to be great. And so I know from a business standpoint, they're so excited about it and there's a lot of money to be made and it makes a whole lot of sense for football and for basketball. But, I do feel for the other athletes of the other sports.
Breanna?
I mean, yeah, same to Ashley. It was very surprising. I didn't see it coming. Just like you didn't.
No, one day I just saw the alert on my phone and I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I thought,
I never know.
There could be some repercussions down the road. I would think maybe even more so for UCLA. And somebody was making the analogy of what happened to Nebraska's football team when they changed conferences. I mean, UCLA is going to have a basketball schedule that's going to rival an NBA type of schedule. Right. It's going to be tough to win all those games on the road. And then certainly I was thinking about the smaller not smaller, but less revenue generated sports, right? And there's a lot of people who think that's going to be a challenge in recruiting. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think there might be some unintended consequences, especially for UCLA. But it was good to get your insights on that for sure. Yeah.
College sports in general is just changing rapidly. Yeah. So it doesn't even look the same as it did a year ago or even 3 years ago. And especially not when I was swimming back, 8 years ago. But now thinking about the NIL deals that kids are making. I mean, I saw a quarterback, a University of Texas. I think he's a quarterback. I'm not sure what position player he was, but he just signed a deal with Lamborghini of Austin. And I'm like, I just can't imagine being an 18-year-old kid driving a Lambo around 6th Street. That just to me seems very strange. I think it's very strange too for the teammates that don't get those deals to see some of those kids making a ton of money and it's not spread around. I just think it's a very tense time, I think, in college sports. And I'm not so sure it's all really good.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that player is actually Bijan Robinson, who's from Tucson.
No way.
He played here after you left. He was a running back at South Point, and he was like the best player. And so, so Bijan Robinson, you were here for, it's funny because Breanna, 3 of the Red Sox have Tucson ties.
Yes.
Bobby Dalbec, who was here when you were here. They called him Heartthrob Bob.
I still call him that on SportsCenter.
I know. That's great. Alex Verdugo, who went to Saguaro High School, but I think before you were here. And then a player on the 2012 College World Series team, Robert Ref Snyder, who's not a regular, but the Red Sox have three players. So actually the player you're referring to, Bijan Robinson, played at South Point.
That's awesome. I know it's so funny. I'll always try to make those personal touches when I'm doing SportsCenter too. And I can't tell you how many of them I think, oh my goodness, I covered them when they played U of A or they played for U of A or they're from Tucson. And I always try to include that. I want to say there was another one last week. Maybe is JJ Matajevic still playing? I think he was in the big leagues recently. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that name. I haven't seen it in, 6 years or so, but it's really cool to see people doing well.
we would joke, Breanna, we would joke about Alonzo Trier. I made some comment once that Alonzo Trier was a warrior on the court. I don't know. Ashley maybe thought that was a funny comment. She teased me a lot about a warrior on the court. That became kind of a joke. But yeah.
You know, I saw him actually. I was in Phoenix recently, and I saw him at the grocery store.
Oh, no way.
And he kind of stopped because, you know, I only covered him when he was playing at U of A. He kind of stopped and looked at me, and I was like, hey, and he's like, I remember you. It was so funny, but I was like, oh my goodness, that just feels like a lifetime ago, but it's so great.
It's been 6 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you were here from 14 to 16.
Yeah. I'll come back at some point. I'm going to come back to Tucson. I need a reason, but I will come back for sure at some point and see you all.
Jason, it's our mission to make a reason.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it.
U of A might be able to help us out with a big game.
Yeah.
So,
I'll figure out something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hey, Ashley, thank you so much. Are you on tonight?
I am on tonight. Yep.
Okay.
I have my meeting in about an hour and a half, and then I go and get in hair and makeup, and I watch games, and I get to producing and going over shot sheets, and then I'll be live at 10. So I'll be ready. I'm so excited.
The chemistry you have with Stan and Neil and Linda Cohn, did that come right away, or did that take some time? Because you guys
no. It never really comes right away. I'd say there's maybe one or two people I've ever worked with that you really instantly feel, you know, each other out. I think Kenny Mayne actually was one of my favorite people I've ever worked with. And we had just a quick back and forth because we kind of had the same kind of humor. You know, John Butragross was another one that I just love working with. But with all of us here at the LA studio, it really takes time, and it's really just, you know, kind of understanding the speed they talk in. You know, sometimes people take a lot of like breaths between they speak, and you know, should I say something? Should I not?
Right.
So the more you get to know people, you kind of understand the way they work and the way they talk. And so, I mean, you know, I love working with all three of those, you know, talents for different reasons. They're so much fun. Every time I sit next to Linda, I'm like, how did I get here? You're Linda Cohn. You're the GOAT. I mean, she just celebrated 30 years on SportsCenter. So I can only hope to be even close to something like that, but it's so much fun.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. I mean, I can't tell you how exciting this has been, because really, I mean, watching you had such a quick success story, really. I mean, the fact that you were here 6 years ago and now you went to LA, you went to ESPN in Connecticut, and now you're on SportsCenter. It doesn't seem real to you because it happens so fast, and it's incredible. It's incredible to watch.
Yeah, I just tell everyone, when you get the opportunity, step up and just go for it. And that was kind of, you know, I got the call to do SportsCenter, and I was like, no time to be nervous, no time to freak out, just get up and go. And so when, you know, a door opens, you just run through it. And so happy to see you both doing that.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining us here on the Huddle. This was so great to catch up.
Yes, great to see you guys.
It's fantastic to see all your success. And as Laura Cattell said, you're our head of digital here, a big success story from KGUN, and we look forward to seeing you do even more like you did with the NHL Awards a couple weeks ago. So that was terrific. So we're looking forward to that, seeing more of that. So Ashley, thank you so much. We'll let you go get ready for tonight's broadcast on ESPN, and we will certainly be watching. So thanks again.
Thank you, guys. It was such a pleasure. I'm so happy to see you and catch up, and keep doing great and working hard, and telling the stories of Tucson. It means so much to that community, and you know, it was such a blessing and a pleasure to be able to do that. So always rooting for you guys, and thank you for having me. I hope to see you in person at some point soon.
For sure.
So nice meeting you, Ashley.
All right, Breanna, what'd you think?
That was awesome. She is, you know, she seems funny, she seems sweet, and she is exactly as she seems on TV.
Yeah, I was surprised. I would have thought she had said the chemistry came rather soon, so that was kind of surprising to hear. And no, I didn't know all those details about how somebody got sick or whatever it was, and then she shows up the first day. But those kind of stories happen. So that's just kind of how it works out. Hey, it's a holiday where we need somebody, or somebody called in sick. We need somebody, and you make the most of your opportunity. So there's a line now. There's Samantha Ponder was from Phoenix. Ashley's from Phoenix. Now now maybe you can follow along.
Oh my God,
But,
those are some big shoes to fill,
that's
but
for sure.
I'm
Yeah,
happy
no
to be
pressure,
associated.
Breanna. They're only stars on ESPN. I mean, really, and got there in their 20s. No pressure on you.
Right.
Look, in all seriousness, everybody grows at different rates. There's people who are fantastic sportscasters who were there was their second career. I can actually think of a couple people. So there's no one line to success. Lots of people don't even make it till later in life. So
Right.
everybody grows and gets better and improves and comes into their own at their own time. So I don't want you to think, oh, just because these people got there at this certain time, then you have to too. When it's right and when it's the right time, it'll happen for somebody.
Well, and one of the things that Ashley always says, and she did mention here, the power of not always saying no and just saying yes to a lot of things. It's the potential behind that one yes. Like she said, when the anchor got pink eye and she was like, sure, let's do it. That's the one opportunity. And so, yeah, I think all it takes is one yes to really change everything.
Terrific. All right. Well, hey, thanks for filling in here on the Huddle with Pat on vacation. And I'm sure you'll be on several more times during the course of the season here as we get going and talk U of A. But we wanted to take a little special break from the football, and we'll get back to that next week. So thanks for filling in here on the Huddle with me and Pat. And for everybody, hope you enjoyed that little catching up. And I know it's going to get a big audience on the replay on OTT. So special thanks to Ashley Brewer for joining us here on the Huddle. For Pat Paris and Breanna Isbell, I'm Jason Barr. Thanks so much, and we'll see you right back here next Tuesday at the same time.